During World War I, a collection of Americans, including a cowboy, a rich kid, a military brat, and a black boxer, joined the Lafayette Escadrille, a squadron of fighter pilots fighting for France. They are taught how to fly by a cynical American veteran. Through the film, they become knights of the air, battling the Germans in the air, facing other fighter planes led by one seemingly unbeatable enemy ace. I picked the most cliché yet remarkably inspiring quote from the movie. In the midst of the learning experience for the rookie pilots, Captain Tenno explains, "We don't want you bringing bullets home. We have millions. Leave the bullets up there. Let the Germans take them home." The importance of this quote is not only that it resonates with the spectator, but that I'd like to think that it stays with the Flyboys throughout the movie. Although the captain was lackluster at points, this quote carried through with my liking of him throughout the rest of the movie. The film begins in various different settings in America, introducing multiple characters who initially marveled in the thought of being a pilot, or just being in war for that matter. Though most of the movie is based in France, particularly in a somewhat rural, peaceful farmlandish area. The movie covers the period from 1916 to America's entrance to the war in 1917. A prop I feel especially conveyed the setting of this story, but more so the story of the Lafayette Escadrille, was the lion. The Escadrille did have a lion, Whiskey, as a mascot. In fact, it had 2 lions. The second was named Soda. However, the lions were moved to a zoo after a playful Whiskey knocked Tenno down into the mud and started chewing on his cap. These little fun facts about the story make the movie more worthwhile to watch. Concerning the contextualization of this movie, to be fair, the viewers will actually learn a little about the war. Obviously, the big contextualization of this is the war. Although America didn't join the struggle till later on, the setting was mostly in France. It does in fact show a good shot of the abrupt transformation from peaceful farmland to the front. Since the front did not move for most of the war, the area behind it remained untouched. Comparing this film to one of the interpretive genres of American historiography was quite easy. I quickly chose progressive. Not only was World War I a battle of alliances, imperialism, militarism, and nationalism, the movie also expresses racial segregation with the most popular member of the squad, in my opinion, Skinner, who was clearly based on Eugene Bullard, a black man who had moved to France to escape racial discrimination and fought for France, first in the Foreign Legion and then in the Lafayette Flying Corps. The script acknowledges the rampant racism in the United States, admitting that Skinner was not allowed to fly in the American Air Force after the United States entered the war. As everyone should know, World War I obviously changed America and transformed its role in international relations. The entry of the United States into World War I changed the course of the war, and the war, in turn, changed America. Yet World War I receives little to no attention in American consciousness. The American Expeditionary Forces arrived in Europe in 1917 and helped turn the tide in favor of Britain and France, leading to an Allied victory over Germany and Austria in November 1918. I wish people would more appreciate the presence of World War I in our lives today. Whether it's our economy, race relations, women's rights, xenophobia, free speech, or the foundation of American foreign policy for the last 100 years. They all have their roots in World War I, and for that it has changed us. We should be thankful that this war happened. For not for it, a lot of different things would have come crashing down on us a lot harder than they did in that situation. I don't want to spend too much time on this part because it's basically just a recap of the continuity or change one. Saying that it changed America is saying that it caused current events. Once again, With World War I came a lot of changes, with free speech, women's rights, race relations, our economy, and much more. And it's also changed the foreign policy for basically the last 100 years. So we have to think, if World War I didn't happen and we never got involved, what would our country be like? Who would we be? As an aviation and World War I and World War II fanatic, I can only give this film a 4 out of 5. The film is not even about the real Lafayette Escadrille. It is just a generic World War I aviation film that happens to feature Americans fighting for France. However, the amazing aerial combat scenes are the movie's strength. In particular, a battle against a Zeppelin, which is heading for Paris, is simply stunning. Unfortunately, the movie does not explain the Zeppelins' main advantage was their ability to bomb from such a height that the fighters had trouble climbing high enough to actually shoot at them. Despite the constant repetition that they are knights of the air, the idea that aces routinely fought duels is more than a bit of an exaggeration. Most aces died because they were exhausted or were surrounded, not in duels. Unfortunately, the amazing aerial footage is not matched by the cliché-ridden screenplay. Overall, I would recommend this movie. I enjoyed the movie enough to stay for the credits.